The wind carried whispers through the ruins of what had once been a city of glass and chrome. Beneath the faded glow of twin moons, the air shimmered with a pale residue of atmospheric distortion, remnants of the old energy grids that had powered everything before the fall. Elias stepped carefully through the wreckage, his oxygen mask hissing with every breath. His boots crunched over fragments of polymer glass and scorched steel. Around him, hollow towers leaned like exhausted giants. The only sound was the distant hum of the survey drone that orbited above his head, its red eye scanning the ruins for signs of life. It had been 50 years since humanity's evacuation from Thalassa 4, the failed colony world. They'd called it uninhabitable after the bioplague, the same disease that had nearly wiped out the settlers when the alien spores fused with human DNA. But now a coded transmission had been detected, faint, trembling, but undeniably human in origin. Elias had volunteered to investigate. He'd expected silence, not the feeling of being watched. A flicker in the mist, the faintest sound of movement. Soft, deliberate. His hand went instinctively to the sidearm at his belt. "Drone, infrared sweep," he whispered. The drone whirred, projecting a grid of light into the fog. Then it froze mid-air. Anomaly detected. It chirped in its neutral voice. Non-hostile. Carbon-based. Proximity. 7 meters. The shape emerged slowly, a silhouette moving with unsettling grace. It was small, humanoid, feminine. Long silver hair caught the moonlight, cascading like liquid metal. Her eyes glowed faintly, not from technology but from something biological. 2 rings of luminous blue light that pulsed with emotion. Elias froze. The girl tilted her head, then inhaled sharply, almost like an animal testing the air. Her nostrils flared. Her pupils contracted. She took a hesitant step forward, bare feet silent on the broken ground. Then, in a voice that trembled with both fear and recognition, she whispered, "It's you, the human who saved me." The words rippled through him. Elias had never seen her before. At least, he didn't think he had. "You've mistaken me," he said cautiously. "I just arrived." But the alien girl only shook her head. "No, you came to me once. Long ago. You carried light in your hands." He frowned. "Light." She pointed to the sky. "From the stars. You fell from them and made the dying breathe again." The drone hovered closer, scanning her biochemistry. "Warning," it beeped. "Subject shows hybridized DNA. 48% human genome detected." Elias's pulse quickened. "A hybrid," he muttered. "That's impossible. All colonies were evacuated before." He stopped himself. Her gaze pierced through him, curious, searching. "You are Elias," she said quietly. "Your name was in the records. The one who stayed behind to heal the children." He blinked. His breath caught. That name. It wasn't something she could have guessed. He had been here once, decades ago, as a young medic during the final days of the evacuation. The children infected by the alien spores had been quarantined underground. He had fought to save them, but none had survived. Or so he'd been told. His voice cracked. Who are you?" She stepped closer, the glow from her skin softening. "I am Lyra," she said. "And I remember your hands, warm, shaking. You told me to hold on." Elias felt the world tilt around him. Memory came rushing back. The quarantine chamber, the feverish child with silver veins beneath her skin. Her small hand gripping his as the containment field hissed shut. He had thought she died hours later. But here she stood, breathing, alive. "Lyra," he whispered. "You were one of them." She nodded slowly. The spores changed us. The others died. But I became something else. Something that could live in the air that kills your kind. Her voice was neither alien nor human, but a trembling harmony of both. I waited, she said, because I knew you would come back. They sheltered that night inside the remnants of an observation dome. The wind outside howled like distant ocean surf, carrying the scent of ozone and metal. Elias lit a small plasma lamp, casting amber light across the room. Lyra crouched near it, studying the flame with childlike fascination. He studied her quietly. She looked human mostly, save for faint bioluminescent lines tracing her neck and collarbones, pulsing softly with each breath. "Why did you stay here?" he asked. Lyra tilted her head. "Where else would I go? The world beyond the cities is poison. The sky storms burn. But here," she smiled faintly, "the city still dreams." Her words lingered, hauntingly poetic. Elias exhaled. "There's a ship waiting in orbit. If I can send a signal, we can leave. You don't have to stay in this ruin." Her expression darkened. "If I leave, I die. My body was made for this air, this soil. The spores are my blood now." He fell silent. Lyra looked up at him then, her glowing eyes softening. "You saved me once. Not just my body, my mind. You told me stories of the stars. Of oceans that never ended. I've dreamed of them for years." He swallowed hard. "Then let me save you again." She reached out, her fingers brushing his hand, warm, faintly trembling. "Perhaps you already have," she whispered. Outside, lightning danced silently through the clouds. The city's ghostly towers flickered like candles in the stormlight. Elias felt an ache he hadn't known in years, the ache of remembering what it meant to care. Days passed. He explored the ruins with Lyra as his guide. She moved with uncanny instinct, avoiding traps of unstable radiation and knowing which corridors were safe to breathe. She showed him what the world had become. The great power conduits now pulsed with slow organic light. The ground was covered in silvery moss that shimmered when touched. "The planet is healing," she explained. "The spores learned. They adapted to balance what was lost." And Elias realized, the plague hadn't destroyed Thalassophore. It had transformed it. He recorded everything. The flora, the bioluminescent streams, the creatures that emerged at dusk. Part machine, part living organism. But his greatest discovery remained Lyra herself. At night, she told him stories of the dreams that had haunted her through the decades. Visions of a world beyond the stars, and of a man whose voice she could never forget. "You told me once," she said one evening, "that every life has a frequency. That when two frequencies align, they create resonance, harmony." He smiled faintly. "I remember saying that to one of the children." "That was me," she said softly. "And I've been hearing your frequency ever since." Elias didn't know how to respond. The words were both beautiful and terrifying. But time was running short. His oxygen reserves were dwindling, and his ship in orbit would soon leave. The mission was to gather data, not linger in the past. When he told Lyra, her eyes dimmed. "So you'll leave again," she said quietly. He hesitated. "I have to. They need to know this world isn't lost." "And what about me?" He looked at her, torn. "I'll come back for you." She smiled sadly. "That's what you said last time." On the final day, they reached the old communication spire at the heart of the city. Half buried in dust, it still hummed faintly. Elias began working to reactivate it while Lyra stood watching the horizon. The wind picked up, carrying a low vibration. Not just sound, but a resonance that made the air itself quiver. Lyra stiffened. "They're coming," she whispered. Who? The sentinels. From the mist, figures emerged. Tall, skeletal constructs, once human-made drones now corrupted by the biomechanic spores. Their glowing eyes scanned the ruins, drawn to Elias's heat signature. He grabbed his blaster. "Stay behind me." Lyra shook her head. "No. They'll kill you if they sense your heartbeat." "What are you?" Before he could finish, she stepped forward, raising her hands. The markings on her skin flared brightly. The sentinels hesitated. A low hum filled the air, a strange language vibrating from her throat, half song, half frequency. The machines stopped, turned, then slowly retreated into the mist. Elias stared, awestruck. "How did you?" "I'm part of them," she said simply. "Part of this world." They listened. He turned back to the spire, hands shaking as he sent the transmission. Mission log. Thalassa 4 is not dead. Life persists. Hybrid organism, human and alien. Has survived decades of isolation. Name Lyra. He paused, glancing at her. Recommendation. Quarantine lifted. When the message finished transmitting, silence filled the air. Lyra walked closer. "Now you will go," she said quietly. "The others will come, and they will not see me as you do." Elias felt a lump in his throat. "Come with me. We'll find a way to help you survive off-world." She smiled faintly. "If I leave this place, I lose what I am." He reached for her, desperate. "Then I'll stay." Her expression softened, sorrow and tenderness blending into something ancient. "No. You belong to the stars." She lifted her hand, pressing it gently against his chest. "But I will always know your frequency." When he finally boarded his ship, the surface of Thalassa 4 receded beneath him, a silver ocean of clouds and light. From orbit, he saw something astonishing. The sprawling ruins below pulsing in a slow, rhythmic pattern, like a heartbeat. The planet was alive. And in its heart he knew she was still there. As his ship broke atmosphere, his comm crackled, faint static that resolved into a whisper barely audible. "Elias, can you hear it? The resonance." He closed his eyes. "Yes, Lyra. I hear you." The static faded. And somewhere beneath the clouds, the alien girl stood beneath the twin moons, her silver hair glowing in the wind, her eyes turned toward the stars, listening to the echo of the only human who had ever saved her. As the ship vanished into the black, a single tear traced down Lyra's cheek, a shimmer of silver light that fell and vanished into the dust. The pulse of the city slowed, steady and calm, like the exhale of a sleeping world. She turned her face toward the heavens, where a faint streak of light cut across the sky. His ship shrinking into the distance. For a long time, she stood there in silence, feeling the air, the hum beneath her feet, the whisper of living metal in the soil. All of it connected, all of it alive. And then, with a quiet smile, she closed her eyes and whispered into the wind. "Goodbye, Elias. I will wait for you in the resonance." The world around her answered, the towers glowing faintly, the ground trembling with the same low tone that had once guided her through the dark. The city itself seemed to breathe her words back into the air, carrying them upward toward the stars. Somewhere far above, Elias heard it. Not through his comms, not through any machine, but in the deep, quiet part of himself that still believed in miracles. He placed a hand against the window of the ship and whispered, "You were never the one who needed saving." The stars shimmered in reply.